right?
Yep. Hit. Beautiful. Just below centre.
Okay. So we'll do another one and verify that.
Rightio. Beautiful, right next to it.
Okay, so that's about what I'd expect from this thing.
Yep.
There it is. So now I'm going to do exactly the same thing without a base.
Rightio.
And just hold and do exactly the same shot or two. Ready?
Ready. Left. So it's just under centre, slightly left. Central, 6 o'clock.
One more
Okay.
from the shoulder.
Hit.
So it's
Just right, like centre.
so just on the centre. So that's all the same
Yeah.
height, but isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Instinct.
Hit. I can't see it. It's amongst those ones.
Okay. So, well, they're not behaving in a bad fashion.
Yep.
I'll have a look at what it actually did, but we'll see what we can do with 1,000 yards while we're standing up here. So if you get yourself to 1,000 yards, everything else is already set up there.
Radio.
Hit it, but
Oh.
you right?
Yep, I'm on. Right, 3 o'clock, about quarter of a target right.
Oh. Well, that makes sense of the wind, probably. Okay, one more like that. But right, the right height.
Yes, good height. Beautiful. And
That's pretty straightforward.
there's hell of a mirage there too.
I can't make the hit.
Yep.
But that's dead centre, is it?
Yep.
Well, that worked pretty easily. It's not as stable, but it's not that difficult either.
Okay.
We'll go down with exactly that and see what it does on the ground.
Radio.
Bring back the bag and the base.
Yep.
You ready?
Yep, good to go.
I'll put another ring on that.
Bottom, lower, so 6 o'clock, or just left of 6 o'clock, just off bottom edge.
That's a little bit low. I'm running out of clearance here.
Man, the
We'll
mirage.
just verify that.
Yeah, mirage is crazy.
The mirage is fading.
It's crazy. It's terrible.
Oh, okay.
A lot of mirage.
Hard to see, yeah.
Yep. Just left of center. Beautiful.
Okay, well, that was the bag sorted out properly. But that's the same height.
Yep.
And mirage is crazy.
Yep.
G'day, welcome to Market Sam After Work. Well, that was that video of me shooting this rifle. Well, you saw some bits and pieces going on there, from shooting with our bag base to shooting with no bag base to shooting with the tripod. What I was up to there was I was doing a video to show point of impact differences. And to be honest, I was also doing a bit of testing to see what I was going to see. Previously, I have seen in various formats where the not shooting with your rear bag set up properly, or shooting on tripod, or shooting from a bench, or shooting in all sorts of different places, I've seen elevation changes in rifles. In the point of impact. And I was going to go and put that together in a format. Like I said, I wanted to show what I thought I might see, but also just wanted to test and see what I did see. And what I saw was, well, a little bit interesting. I actually, as you saw there, and I could walk through it, but if you have a look at that video, that first bit of the video, what I actually saw was really no elevation or point of impact changes in the overall shoot, from whether I was shooting with no rear support, or I was shooting from the tripod, or I was shooting with full proper rear support using my bag. I've got it all set up here. So this is one of my, for those people who don't know, most of my extreme precision shooting is done with one of our bag bases at the back here, done with a bag, different types of one. This is a better bag. So this is the, let me get it wrong, this is the ProTech bag, but basically a good bag, and my version 4 is set up to do that. And I saw no difference. What I did see was, yes, there's less consistency. The most consistent, the most accurate stuff I see, and actually if you have a look at the end of the video, which I'll put on now, I was actually just trying this ammo. This is a 7mm 08. And I had run it previously where we did our little 6-inch target at just under 1200 yards. I was running X amount of powder. We were running the 26-20 approximately speed. I went to 1 grain further to go in the way of powder, and went up to the 2680. So I did some testing at that sort of stuff to see how it was. Okay, so last thing I'll do is just get some speeds on this other ammo.
So you want the thing?
Want the chronograph, yeah. And then we're done, Sandbag.
Right.
But that's 2680.
Yep.
That's not bad. I'll get a good, the pressure looks nice.
Just about center.
Oh, wait a minute. I'll do this 5. 2692.
Right, yep. Center. Center. Nice.
Yeah. Last one.
another hit in the middle. Yeah, it's getting a bit busy in there.
The gang for all that mirage and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, about 26.80.
Okay.
So that's not bad.
Alright.
Yeah, so that was the group at over 1100 yards, which we did with this one here. So shooting really well. Probably going to come halfway between. I started the bolt, nothing was wrong, primer looked good, everything looked great, but I started to get a tiny bit of, it was a little bit firmer on extraction, which meant that it was just pulling a little bit on its extraction, which suggests that I'm maybe a tiny bit too far, but still awesome group, so I'll make that decision later on. And yes, for those people who want to know, this is just the 708. But as you can see, I've throated it forward. I'm running the 190 grain projectile, and they no longer will fit in the magazine. Not something of concern for me, but it turns into one very efficient, where probably going to end up in the 2650 out of 190 grain projectile. Very good ballistic coefficient in a rifle that shoots like this. So let's get back into the video on what I actually saw. Yes, the ultimate precision I get is out of a properly packed rear bag, running off my bipod in a light preload situation. As you saw, that shoots the absolute best. But actual point of impact changes for this setup, because this rifle is set up very well, meaning it's set up in more of a precision form. Yes, I shoot it just off a bipod in the dirt, that sort of stuff, or on a mat in the dirt, that sort of stuff. So it's made to shoot in a tactical form, but it still is a rifle that is in a precision setup. So this is just on 20 pounds or 9.5 kilos, so it's up to where it's up there in the weight. It's running with the setup from the bipod, which is very stable and a very good, giving it a good low center of gravity. This is running with a decent sort of heavy barrel. The rear end of the rifle is set up to where it's got set up to where that straight line of push goes straight through here. Nice strong chassis, and the MDT ACC chassis. I've made some little mods at the front to suit my bipod system, shortened it down a little bit like that, but it still has a full arc of rail. All those bits and pieces are in a really nice place. Also running a 1 pound trigger. This is a Timney Kelvin Elite single stage trigger. So all the bits true to action. This is the tracked scope. Good scope on top, all the bits and pieces set up to everything working really well. And you saw the group, like I said, that it finished with. But you also saw when I just shouldered it, I saw a couple of low and and a little bit more left, a little bit more right. So it was more like a 1 MOA group when I was shooting just off the shoulder, but it still was a 1 MOA group and about the same sort of height. I saw the same. I didn't do too much tripod shooting. It's harder to shoot at 600 yards and 1100 plus yards on the tripod, actually holding on your target and getting that stable. And listen, I use my style. There's all sorts of ways to do that sort of thing. The tripod is a good average tripod. I'm not a tripod expert. There's the brands of it, all those bits and pieces there, so you can see what brand it is. So you can see what brand it is. Listen, I'm no expert on the tripod side of things. I do very little of it. I got tripods because I wanted to show some stuff off, and I'll get another one to do that same sort of thing. And when I'm showcasing or showing off that side rifle, I want to be able to do that more thoroughly. But truthfully, I'm super comfy laying on the ground, doing it in the dirt for our ELR stuff and for most of the stuff we do. But I probably should get more experienced at this. The shooting on a tripod does take a level of stableness, a level of control, a level of follow through. All that sort of stuff have to be at the extra level when you're shooting from a tripod, because there is more movement. But equally, I found, and the way I used was very much as I would in a format of giving myself stability, using my left hand. I'm long enough in the frame where I can go to the front of the ball head, hold the whole rifle back. So I'm putting a little bit of pressure. I'm putting preload on my shoulder through the rifle and gripping it like I would be in, pretty much like I would be in offhand shooting. And that level I could get stable. I get onto that point, and I'm not talking as stable as laying on 3 points as it does on the bag here, but I could still get to where I was on there and do a proper squeeze on the trigger, not jerking the trigger or anything. And you saw, to be truthful, that's what you saw. There's what happened. That's a dead center hit. I didn't do a follow-up shot because I was time poor, but equally it probably would not have been close to that. It probably would have been 12 inches off on my next shot with the the shot at 1100 yards off the tripod, but still, that's what happened. The bit I wanted to get onto was actually see the difference. I hadn't seen much difference at 600 yards, so I really wanted to see if I get a real elevation change out of shooting from the bag, with where we really are pushing the boundaries out there. My first shot was low, but as you saw, what I'd actually done was set it all up, and time poor, I had not quite got the height. I'd got to where I'd maxed out my elevation on the back here to get onto target. And what that meant was, it wasn't really, when I went to do the follow-up shot, I couldn't get any more, which tells me I hadn't packed my bag properly. So by just lowering just one leg, so it's just half a click, and yes, in my bipod system, if you're a little uneven, you're really not costing yourself anything there, and being quick about it, got to where I was level, packed it properly, shot, and as you saw, that was right next to it. No scope adjustment whatsoever. I was running the 35 minutes of elevation to do that 1100 plus yard shot, and those two shots there with a properly packed bag and my tripod shooting were same elevation, same sort of stuff. So I suppose now I'll get into explain what I'm actually talking about and what I was going to show and all the rest of it. What I've explained is, with everything set up really well, for that particular situation, I saw no point of impact difference. But a lot of the times I have previously, and you have to be prepared for, differences in the point of impact because of your shooting format. Whether you're shooting on a bag, you're shooting off a mount, you're shooting off a bipod, you're shooting off a tripod, you can see point of impact changes. Now, form can cause a little bit of this, rifle can cause a little bit of this, but the difference we're actually talking about is the fundamentals that some people still have problems with, is that the barrel starts moving in incremental levels, thou of differences. The barrel starts moving before the bullet has left. So that's why follow through is so important. What your trigger does in a slower, like shooting a 22 long rifle, it's even more important, but it's important everywhere. It's just the levels of differences you're going to see. But that's why a butt pad height is very important. That's why your chassis setup is important. That's why your bipod set's important. That's why everything's important, because that barrel starts moving. Now, if it does it exactly the same every time, then your point of impact will be the same every time. But if there's a change, and that is in how your body is positioned, that is in how where the pivot point of the rifle is, as you'll see in this setup that I've got it set up here, when things go bang, that movement is straight forward and back, because the bipod pivots over the top there nice and straight, the bag retains it at the back here nice and straight, and if my body's doing the right thing, it lets it go nice and straight. The moment I remove the bag from the back here, and we'll do that right now, then, as much as my shoulder's trying to do the right thing, almost always you'll see in most setup rifles, you'll see a little duck away. It'll actually pivot over the top of here. You'll get a bit of straight backwards movement, but you'll also get a bit of this. You get a bit of a rock to it. So that's where a squeeze bag, just shooting off the shoulder, all the rest of it, more commonly than not, will cause a slight raise in elevation, simply because what's actually happening is the back of the rifle starts to go down before. Now, in a well set up rifle like this one here, with a straight line of push, everything working properly, maybe I'll blame the human a little bit as well. No, I saw a little less consistency, but it still had the same elevation point. And when you go to mounting it from the front here, or mounting it from the middle here, so mounting it from the balance point or wherever you have it on the bottom here, once again that pivot point is more likely to rock backwards. The right setup rifle, you get the straight push and a little rock, and you'll see on that video there's a little bit of a sort of wobble back as it came back again, which is the nature of what's going to happen with the fact that yes, it hasn't got the rear support, but still worked really well. But it is about this simple fundamental of, like I said, why follow through, why what your finger does afterwards, why your whole setup of your rifle is super important, is because there is slight movement of the barrel. Even if you can't see it, even if you can't prove it, it is proven by the fact you do get those differences. So in saying all that, don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean that if you do see a difference from shooting from a rear bag supported, front rest, rear bipod, whatever it is, rear bag, and see a different shooting to a tripod or to however you shoot it, you see a difference. Doesn't mean your setup is wrong. It is a situation. I've certainly seen it, but it also shows that to a degree there are some setups, and this is also recoil level. This is not monstrous. This is just around the 308, the 243, the 65 Creedmoor. It's in the prior to Magnum cartridges. As you get bigger, it's going to have more influence, but still, what I just saw here is you go through and set things up right, get your combination in the right place, there will be very little difference. I'll do more testing on that. This, as I said, I'm no tripod expert. There's different ball heads, there's different bits and pieces, and I probably have to do a little bit more learning and understand that. It is a bit where the industry is going. And like I said, I want to be able to show off some of that sort of stuff as well, some of the rifles that are made for that sort of shooting. But for me, I'm super happy. My rear bag over there, that's how I get my extra precision. It really works really well. And for those people who don't understand what's going on there, the biggest deal that I found very early on with a bag is it settles and it squishes. And to get it accurate, you have to squish it back up to get it that fine tuning. You can run with the F-class bipods where you can fine tune that. I wanted to use this classic form where I dig into the dirt, no prep in the ground, it goes down, I lay down, I can use that sort of stuff, and then I put my adjustment in the back. By having it in the bag, it does a couple of things. One, you can really get it up to where your bag's nice and packed and nice and consistent, but you also can have this very stable platform you're sitting as well. So as for my bag bases, they have, the bigger ones at least, have the 3 feet underneath there, nice and wide, nice grip on the ground. And yes, although it doesn't ultimately make each individual shot particularly different from you getting it perfect, it just makes it easier to get every shot consistent and more perfect is what it actually does. It just makes this job easier, which ultimately that's where accuracy comes from. Making things easier, making things more consistent, that's where better groups come from, that's where more accuracy comes from, and that's the concept there. Anyway, listen, that's the quick take on that. That's what I was trying to do. This rifle shooting really well. As I said, as I've been through, I found very little difference in my point of impact shift in this setup. Doesn't mean you're not going to find it in yours, but that's the basic fundamentals to go with it. This one here, listen, really happy with it. It's working really nicely. Looking forward to next season, back into the dry season, and we can stretch out a 7mm 08. It's been one I've sort of been planning on for a fair old while, and got through the 7mm process and the various processes we got through. Apart from extending it past the normal magazine, it's performing really, really well. Really happy with the 7mm 08 and being able to get the 190 grain projectile to over 2,600 feet per second surprised me, but working really well. Just 26.5 inch barrel, 1 1/8 twist, working really nicely, and all the gear on here come together really well. The track scope, we've used it a couple of times. Once again, really good piece of gear. Set up in the air attack base means that I can get this one here, I can get out to, I think, 170 minutes of elevation. So we'll see how far we can go just like that setup as well. Yeah, listen, shooting really nicely. Really happy with it. Going really well. Yeah. Anyway, that's about what I got to tell you today. I didn't quite get the result I was sort of almost expecting in the shooting side of things there, but still proved that it's very, very capable, and like I said, very happy that's going. Anyway guys, that's about my chat for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for checking in, and we'll catch you next time.